important part of this technology which is missed, and in a way we have to go back to it, and in a structured way for you to understand, is that in the process of the teaching in the past few weeks and months, we showed how we came from the sun into the what we call the transfer of the field into the earth atmosphere condition, and from this matters of this planet started. And then with the gas technology we produced gases which in a way we come to the same circles. We have created a condition of sun, we have created condition of the matter state conversion. But in this process, a lot of you missed something very important. And the talk of today is about this. Can you see my writing clearly, or does it need to be corrected? How do you want me to adjust it? No, it's a self-focus system. It's a self-focus system. There's not much I can do with it. You can read it, no problem. Okay, so what we have come to is reality. We missed on a part what we were looking for and what we have achieved. So in this process, we have missed something important, and this is part of it today. If you look, magnetic field, gravitational field, from one strength, they became gravitational magnetic field of the other strength. That's a natural process in the universe. And then us using nanomaterials and matter coming to the gas state and then going back to the field, we have become and be helped the other side of it. This was the natural process of the universe. In this section, we created our own new system. But if you look at the whole condition and return back to the energy that we see now with your pens that you absorb, pain and other things, we have completed the circle. And the purpose of these teachings was this, to say, and this is, if you go back and read my papers, the unified field theory completes this theory. We have confirmed the unification of the fields, but is not as one field, but as two. One magnetical and one gravitational. That's why there was a problem in the past decades or centuries that we could not understand. And when you speak about the unified field theory, it means both gravitational and magnetical. We have to call it unified plasma than field. And in this process, we have understood the totality of the structure of the creation of matter. So if you go back into what has been and what has been discussed many times, many years by scientists in unified field theory, now for the first time as in one group we understand it. And if we apply this and understand it, we can become to major breakthroughs. Separation of the matter state and the plasma. And this has been one of our biggest problems, as I started yesterday and I had to leave. We always considered this. We never considered this. We never considered this state because we are too materialistic in the matter state of this planet. This was the only concern for us. The other two were something which we never understood, so we ignored it. So when you come to the principle of unified field theory, now you understand it is unified. All starts from one, ends to other, and then goes back to where it started. Doesn't matter where, at what point you draw the line. You can draw the line here, it still goes through the same process. You start here, it still goes through the same process. So in a very simple way, we have unified the field theory, we understand it. So it's the next step to go forward to develop technologies, but from now on, be aware at which state of the condition we are talking about. Are we talking at the source? Are we talking at the conversion to a matter state? Are we talking at the conversion in a plasma state? This will change a lot for us in the world of science. This will change everything which we planned or we understood, not to destroy, but literally being able to classify, separate, put together, and understand this. Each one has its own work, but at the end, one does not exist without the other, because it has to come to or go from. One of the biggest problems which you have faced and has been an obstacle in the teachings, and I tried many times, I emphasized on it, but because it was not understood, was how you convert from one to another and how you go from one to another. Many times in teachings in the books, I set the precondition or at least the explanation of this, and today I complete it. And by the time I complete the teaching today, we have completed a more and a full cycle of understanding of the conversion. If you go back into the book 1, go back in understanding of neutron splitting into electron and a proton. If you go back to this understanding from the beginning, you start unraveling. And then the first pages of the book 1 and what has been taught in past 2 weeks, they come together. In the teaching, we spoke about principle. We spoke about transition. And we spoke about matter state. Go back to putting the two together. This is your proton. Now you have the same with the electron. You have the principle, the transition, and the matter state. If you go back to theoretical physics, they tell you the size and the dimension of each one of these. 1 to 2000. If you understood this, it's very simple. What is the principle in here? It becomes the matter in here. What is principle in here becomes the matter here. In the teachings and the support teaching with the innovation teams, which I work in the background with, I asked them in the past few days to build such a thing, in past 48 hours especially, to build a reactor, 2 reactor balls, where the material of the A is outside the A, and the material of B is inside the B. When you understand this proposition, in trying to reach from what you call the transition boundary out to the matter state of the other, now you understand how in the universal condition you move from one state to the other. This has been the secret of creation, which man has never understood. That's why you have an electron and a proton. That's why you have twin stars. That's why you have two parts of the brain, where in the center is the transition of the field. We call it in physical life emotion, where the emotion decides which will move to where and how. If it's more stronger on one side or weaker on the other. And if you understood this, you can convert any energy in the universe to any matter at any state in the universal condition. And when you go from one to another, if you notice, at the point of interaction, both of these points, here and here, and in totality of the field, you get a rapid conversion. In the human body, we call it enlightenment, understanding. In a physical operation of the reactor in motion and lift, you call it the light. If you look at what you call the UFO over Jerusalem, Christmas a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, you see the craft coming down and you see a flash of light and a vertical upright. This is what a competent captain can do, using his emotion to control the physicality, with it show its reaction. This is why I said we complete the science of man today. This is why if you understand and the world of science understands, you can enter the domain of creation and you decide where this orange zone is going to be. How you communicate emotionally, how you communicate with the others emotionally, how you can elevate the principle or the soul of the man. We need to understand this. We need to add to this, that we can go ahead. We need to go in the steps that we can understand this transition. We can understand how to go from one to another. How a little of the principle can become a part, major part of the matter of the other. And in this process, what you create is motion. You saw this motion in the presentation of the rotation of the liquid with Dr. Guata. That's what I said. This video we saw will be a corner principle, the first step of man understanding of its own condition, where you have a GANs of two different states interacting with a GANs of another state at the bottom, where the transition and field forces created the rotation. If you understand this, and you can consider how in turbines we convert the rotation to fields in contraction and interaction to electricity, and you understood this principle, you can create balls, as is getting done by a lot of you, to produce megawatts of energy, not even kilowatts. It's you who's got to understand where to tap into. It's you who's got to understand how much energy I need to. Then you'll find out when you make two cores with two different feeling of the same, you will create perpetual motion on both. By distancing them, you dictate the rotation of a speed, the flow of the fields, the strength of emotion, and the rest. This is where we have to complete the knowledge. This is where now you understand we need no generators. We need no nuclear fuel. We don't need anything at all except creation of fields. At the moment you put ganses in these different areas, but in the coming stage, when we further the material understanding of the states, of all the states of matter, you will be dealing with what it is, no physical boundary as you see as a pen, but you'll be dealing only with fields. And that's what it'll be. And if you understand this, how you can deal with fields and convert one to the other, very soon you understand an amazing condition. You can have any entity in any direction in the world of creation. This means we do not need to create, we need to be in charge of the fields in the right order. And it can go from one to another. And one point in the center is that where you can have everything you want in that matter, field, or whatever. Because even at this point, you have both the principle, the transition, and the matter state. This is the point of the Creator, where it exists in all dimensions. The rest of the creation in the universe works in these fields.